Well, hey there everybody, Aaron here. Welcome to another episode of Gideon's Tactical. Today, I just want to do a real quick tabletop review for you and just kind of an overview of these two previously reviewed knives here on the channel, the Guardian 3 and the Guardian 4 from Bradford Knives. We've done full field tests and reviews on these knives. In the description below, I will have links to their full field tests so you can see them in action. But in this video, I just want to run them next to each other just so you can get some size perspective. We'll talk a little bit about the options that they offer, because there are different options with each of these knives, both in steel and in blade shape. You can get a false edge or just a saber grind. There's some other things we'll talk about here. We'll look at sheath options real quick just to kind of give you a good perspective now, having reviewed both knives, of running both of these together. So with that being said, let's jump into it and just start walking through these Bradford knives, Guardian 3 and Guardian 4, and compare these two blades. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the blade here first, and the two blades that you have and the options that you can get with either one of these knives and the types of steel. Now, these both have kind of a smoke coating on them. I can't remember off the top of my head what the coating is. You can get it in satin finish, or you can kind of get it with this grayish, almost graphite coating. It's held up very well. I've really abused both of these knives, and I'm very pleased with the finish that they put on these steels. It's not a spray on, it's some sort of baked on or something, almost infused to the steel. So it's going to last forever, and I've done lots of batoning and stabbing and all sorts of stuff with these blades. So the finish is great. Again, you can get it in satin if you desire as well. And they both have that very similar spear point design. Now you can either get the Guardian 3 with what we see here, a false edge or swedge up here. You can get that, or you can get it like I have the Guardian 4 without that. Just a simple saber grind design, a little bit thicker on the spine there. So you can decide, depending on which, depending on the blade you purchase, you can either get it with the false wedge or you can get it with the flat saber grind, basically. And it really depends on how you're going to be using the knife more. For my opinion, if you're going to be doing more stabbing tasks, you would want this false edge. If you're going to be using this more as a utility and possibly, woods knife, doing some woods stuff, camp tasks, then don't go with the false edge. Get the just normal saber grind. I think that'll make a difference a little bit. You can get a little bit better leverage with your thumb and give it a little bit more strength when you're batoning, whereas the false edge is going to give you a little bit more strength for stabbing, and it will penetrate a little quicker and a little easier. Now the Guardian 3, 3-inch blade, Guardian 4, 4-inch blade, and I'm talking about the cutting edge, 4-inch cutting edge, 3-inch cutting edge. So the names pretty much connotate what their lengths are. And the Guardian 4 is going to be basically 3/16, and then the Guardian 3 is going to be about 5/32. So a little bit thinner on the Guardian 3, not by much, and the Guardian 4 is definitely going to have a good stout blade. Full tank constructions for both. Now the steels, you can get right now, when I'm filming this in early February, you can get the Guardian 3 in M390 only. And this is my very first M390 blade. I've had a good chance to really use it, and it's going to hold a good edge, take a good edge, and it's a super steel. Now, it's not necessarily going to resharpen out in the field really quick. You are going to definitely have to put some work to the M390 to resharpen it, but once you get that good edge working back on it, then it's going to hold its edge for quite a long period of time. And so far, again, my first knife with M390, been very impressed with that type of steel, and I look forward to using more knives with M390. Now, the Guardian 4, on the other hand, has two different options. You can either get it, which I have, in CPM S30V, and I love S30V, used it on a lot of knives. I've been very pleased with its performance here on this Guardian 3. It holds a great edge, and I was able to field sharpen it and touch it up very easily. So the heat treat and everything that they're doing with this S30V steel is great. You can also get it in N690. I've used N690 on a lot of other knives, and I really like that steel. It's basically like a high quality VG10 and almost impervious to rust, that N690. So you can also get the Guardian 4 in N690 if you so desire. And I think the N690 version is about $10 or $15 cheaper. You'd have to check again on the site, but it's a little bit cheaper than the S30V model. So guys, those are the blades basically. They're gonna have some different capabilities, but you can get false wedges, not false wedges. They're saber grinds, and have a lot of different options, not only in steels, but coatings as well. And just gives you lots of, opportunity for you to tweak the blade and get the kind of blade that you are looking for when you are purchasing a Guardian knife, regardless if it's Guardian 3 or Guardian 4. All right, the next thing to look at is the ergonomics. Now, as you can see, there's a huge difference in these two knives. You know, when you're looking at it on paper and in pictures, sometimes it's hard to tell that, I mean, the Guardian 4 is a much larger knife than the Guardian 3, and the Guardian 3 is a much smaller knife than the Guardian 4. There's just a lot of difference there, even though there's only an inch difference in the blade. And you can see here that the handle is much larger on the Guardian 4. I wear large size glove hands, so my hands are size large. And you can see here, it's a very large blade and very large handle. It's going to give me really good grip. Love those handle scales. You got lots of options. And that designated finger choil, you can't really hold the knife and work with it back here. It's not how it's designed. It is designed when you're gripping it that your index finger goes in right there, locks you into place, and then you're gripped. You got tons of space back there for that pommel, that lanyard hole, and then you got that nice row of jimping, and you're really locked into place, and really gives you a really big, good handle on the knife for a lot of camp or tactical tasks, really depending on how you're going to use the knife. I mean, you are locked in. You're going to have a lot of real estate to mess around with, to hold it, get good leverage if, again, you're doing it in more camp tasks, regardless if it's food prep, you know, cutting paracord, you know, for something that you're doing, tying up, you know, a package up in the trees, you know, to keep it away from bears, or, you know, whatever you're doing, and wood processing, you know, in that natural hammer grip like we talked about in the original review of the Guardian 4. Whereas the Guardian 3 is definitely a much smaller handle. It's smaller, it's slimmer. You can see there, again, that designated finger choil locks you into place. My pinky's still able to get on the knife, just barely. You know, so if you have extra large or triple XL hands, the handle may become a little short for you. But there with my large size hands, you can see I definitely have a good grip on it, but it's going to be a lot slimmer. You know, it's going to feel better in your hand in some ways for smaller, lighter, quicker tasks, but there's not as much real estate to mess around, again, because it's a lot smaller knife. And obviously, it really is going to dictate what you're purchasing this knife for. In my opinion, a lot of it has to do with the handle size. For the Guardian 3, it's a great EDC knife. Carry on you every day. You know, you have it in your EDC bag. Maybe you just carry it on your person, you know, on your belt, underneath, you know, your clothes or something, or whatever, in your pocket even. It would fit in there, and it's going to fit there really nice, and you'll be able to have a fixed blade to do all of your EDC tasks. Whereas the Guardian 4 is not an EDC knife. I mean, this thing is definitely a camp utility and possibly, you know, even self-defense blade. And that's what it's really there for. You're not going to really be able to, you know, put that in an EDC bag very well. It's a lot larger. You know, it's going to take up a lot more space. It's not as concealable. All those different things. This is definitely more of, you know, like I said, camp utility and self-defense, whereas this is definitely more of an EDC blade. So depending on what you're going to need your knife to do, I think is going to dictate which one you're going to purchase and which one's going to, you know, be a better buy for you between these two knives. All right, the final thing I want to show you guys with these knives are the two sheath options. Now, both of these knives out of the box come with leather sheaths. This is the one for the Guardian 3. Again, we've looked at these in detail on the full review, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but you get a very similar style sheath, just a little bit different for the Guardian 4 as well out of the box. And they have an inlay of either Kydex or molded plastic in there to kind of hold the knives into place. But as an option, over on the Bradford website, you can get Kydex sheaths already pre-made. They're, last I checked, $35. You know, prices always vary, but when last I checked a couple weeks ago, it was $35 for either a taco or pancake design, and you can get those for either the Guardian 4 or the Guardian 3. And they are great Kydex sheaths, really well designed. They're not molded plastic. They're legit, really good quality Kydex. And it's going to be a lot cheaper than you trying to send your Guardian out for a custom Kydex. You know, at $35, I don't know of any other, you know, Kydex sheaths that you can purchase, you know, separately at that price point. You're going to be paying minimum of around 40 to 50 bucks easily to get just a custom, and you got to send your knife out. This, you don't have to send your knife out. You can just go over to bradfordknives.com and you can check out what they have, and then, you know, depending on if you want a pancake or taco, you can purchase that design Kydex. And that is what I would highly recommend, is checking out those Kydex sheaths, because I love Kydex. And not that these leather sheaths are bad, they're really good, nice. You know, these leather sheaths are pretty nice, but I'm always going to be a fan of Kydex first before any other type of sheath material. So leather comes with the blades, but you can upgrade for Kydex very easily over on the Bradford website. Well guys, I want to thank you so much for taking the time and checking out this video, and I really hope that it's just kind of showed you the pros and cons of each of these knives and which is going to be a better purchase for you depending on how you're going to be using your knife. So thank you as always for checking out the channel, for watching. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. Comment, share, like the videos. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter and all the relevant social media so you can see upcoming reviews and gear that we're doing, so you can kind of get an idea of what's coming down the line here at Gideon's Tactical. And as always, remember to stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.